Hello everyone. Today I'll be sharing a list of the top 10 most overrated guns in SAS 4. I've seen a lot of guns get way too much praise for how objectively bad they are, so I wanted to make this list to explain why they're just not good. Before I start, two things I want to flag up. First, this list is for update 1.11, was recorded in summer 2022, so some things I talk about might have changed if you're watching this in the future. Check the pinned comment for any relevant changes. Second, this list is purely about how good a gun is in-game and does not consider fun. If you ever think to yourself during this video, but I don't care if this gun is bad, I think it's fun, then that's fine, and I do hope you have fun. But if you're only interested in using the best or most OP guns in the game, then keep this list in mind. Anyways, with all that said, let's get into the video. Starting at number 1, we have the Mixmaster. The Mixmaster is by far the most overhyped gun in SAS 4 history. It's literally just not good, but I've seen people praising it ever since the game came out. It's pretty good at mobbing, I guess, but Shockfield is a lot better. In terms of bossing, Mixmaster's damage per second is literally half of Shockfield's. If you think Mixmaster is OP, then either you've never seen Shockfield in action, you don't understand basic multiplication, or you remember the brief time in 2016 where Ninja Kiwi messed up and accidentally made Mixmaster super OP. Either way, Mixmaster is way overhyped for how mediocre it is. Number 2 is the GG17. The main argument for getting GG17 is that it has slightly more DPS than Red Shockfield, so it's a good bossing gun for leveling up, but in practice it's pretty useless. Its fast fire rate and small clip mean you have to get capacity, which means you'll struggle against Wickers, Devastators, and Necrosis spawns. You could just get Adaptive instead, but then you'll spend literally half your time reloading. Either way, it becomes weaker than Shockfield, so overall it's not worth spending 15,000 credits. Also, it's trash at endgame because Black Shockfield has more DPS. If you want to buy it for fun, then go for it, but if you only want the best guns, then don't waste your credits. Number 3 is the Hicks 3100. If you're surprised that 3100 is on this list, you're probably thinking, but everyone used Hicks 3100 on the Flash version, why isn't it good on mobile? The simple answer is shielders. On the Flash, shielders had super thick shields which would completely block most bullets. Rocket launchers like the 3100, however, could hit the shielder zombie behind the shield, and so were the most effective way to kill shielders. This was the only reason Flash players used 3100, by the way. It's got mediocre DPS and is extremely bad at mobbing because it doesn't have regular pierce, so it's useless without the niche of killing those shielders. On that note, mobile SAS 4 does not have thick shielders, and thus 3100 is useless. Number 4 is the Zerfallen. Most people see Zerfallen and think that would be really OP against mobs because the big orb insta-kills zombies. However, if you think about it, Zerf is literally everything you don't want in a mobbing gun. Slow projectile speed, slow fire rate, long reloads that leave you very exposed, and requires a lot of practice in very specific situations to use effectively. You might also see its huge damage and think that would be OP against bosses, but because of that long reload time, it has less average DPS than several other options in most cases. I do want to note that if you're very good at the game and you know how to work around these weaknesses, then Zerf can be pretty good. But if you're just looking for an OP gun to use, then Zerfallen is not the answer you're looking for. Number 5 is the CM Gigavolt. The Gigavolt is another classic overhyped gun. Basically every SAS 4 YouTuber used it back in the day, back when we were all cluelessly having fun with whatever guns we happened to get. But nowadays, we understand that Gigavolt is bad for two main reasons. First of all, we're a lot less dumb now and have a much better understanding of what makes a gun good at mobbing, one of which is crowd penetration, which Gigavolt sucks at. Second, Jupiter exists. Jupiter is literally just Gigavolt but better. It has more damage, more pierce, better zap mechanics for more effective mobbing, and it's more common from strongboxes. Number 6 is the Proposition. The Proposition has pretty high DPS, about on par with Hotspot, but it has two major weaknesses that make Hotspot a far better choice. The first is obviously the Proposition's massive movement penalty, which means you absolutely need to get skeletonized on it if you want to use it. One less AUG slot isn't super detrimental, but it does limit what you can do with it. And no, heavy gear is not a smart way to get around this, don't waste your skill points. The second is range. Bullets do less damage if shot from further away, which we refer to as damage drop-off, and Proposition has very rapid damage drop-off. Hotspot, meanwhile, has no damage drop-off, and so is a much better choice for that reason alone. Number 7 is the Ronson 45. I included the Ronson 45 because I've seen so many people use it and I cannot figure out why. I assume it's because people see it and think, wow, that's a pretty good pistol. And all I have to say to that is, you know you're allowed to just not use a pistol, right? Anyways, I don't know what to say other than that. Don't use pistols, my dudes. Number 8 is the Krakatoa. A lot of the hype around the Krakatoa has died down since the new update, but I'm including it here for anyone who never got the message. In Update 1.11, Krakatoa got several nerfs that seriously hurt his DPS, and because of this, it went from being the uncontested number 1 best bossing gun by far to not even breaking top 10 and having less DPS than Red Shockfield. In terms of mobbing, it's not especially good at anything, even against the most obvious comparison of Hotspot. Overall, it's not worth buying anymore, so don't buy it if you see it in the armory. Number 9 is the Hicks S300. Similar to the Zerfallen, many people are blinded by the S300's big damage numbers. However, damage alone isn't what makes a gun good. What makes a gun good is how fast it deals that damage, also known as damage per second. And, unsurprisingly, if you calculate S300's damage per second, it's much worse than those other options, both at base and when maxed. Also, a lot of its damage comes from damage over time, which is not boosted by most damage bonuses such as Smart Target and Killing Spree, so its DPS potential is instantly knocked down because of that. And finally, number 10 is the Stripper. The Stripper was, for a very long time, the best bossing gun in the game. However, in Update 1.11, a bug with dealing damage to bosses was fixed, and now Stripper is much worse than its competition. It's still good at low levels, but becomes completely worthless once you get a shock field, so it's very bad at high levels. Alright, and that's the end of the list. If you've made it this far, your hopes and dreams are probably crushed, and you're thinking, what should I use if all the guns I thought were good are actually trash? Well, fellow YouTuber Crunch has made a video talking about the top 10 best guns overall, which you should go watch. Also subscribe while you're there, he's pretty cool. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for more.